It is based off the highly acclaimed Stephen King novel, and it's directed by the director of the horror movie Mama that came out a few years ago. And it's about a group of kids who are part of this club called the Losers Club. And as they go on to their summer vacation, school's out, they're super excited, they're throwing away all their books and shit like that. And they're expecting to go play video games in the arcade and just do things that normal kids do on their summer vacations. Instead, they are dragged into a world of shit, and they go looking for a missing kid. And as they start looking for missing kids, they start to realize that something is wrong in their town known as Derry. And then that's when the great villain, Pennywise the Dancing Clown, which is a demonic entity, shows itself. And the kids soon realize that they have to battle this demonic entity to make sure that no more kids go missing. But they don't expect what they're about to go into. And what they go into is just absolutely terrifying. So I just want to point out and talk about my favorite thing about this movie. It's not the Losers Club, which I'll get on that later because the kids are great. But a lot of people were skeptical about the way Pennywise the Dancing Clown looked in this movie. Images were showing up. I was like, he doesn't look that bad. I mean, let's just wait until the movie comes out and just give the actor a chance. And the actor is Bill Skarsgård. I really haven't seen him in other things before, but what I can tell you is he freaking nails this role. He is absolutely terrific in this performance. Like, he does a really good job. And a lot of people were thinking he can't topple Tim Curry's iconic performance in the original miniseries. Which, that's up to debate at this point. I love Tim Curry as Pennywise in the original miniseries. I thought he was the highlight of that miniseries. He was absolutely creepy, but he was more of the comical clown than he was the creepy. Bill Skarsgård is terrifying. He is scary as hell, but there are also moments where he made me laugh. Like, there's one moment in the movie, I kept it together, I held it in, but I seriously almost burst out laughing, because it was just a weird and just really creepy scene, and it was just really effective though, and I absolutely loved it. I loved every scene that he's in this movie. Every scene is just scary. And the way he performs in the movie, the special effects that create him in some of the scenes are just terrific. Like, they did a really good job at bringing this clown to life. And I gotta say, he was probably the highlight of the movie for me. And I can't wait to see what they do with him in the next one. I was actually smiling throughout this entire movie. And there are some scenes in the movie where I just had a big, goofy-ass smile. And that's just what I loved about this movie. It was able to keep my attention throughout, and there was not a single dull moment in the movie. So in any movie, when there's a villain, there's always someone or a group of people who have to go and defeat the villain. Well, in this movie, we have the Losers Club. It's just a group of kids who they decide to create a club called the Losers Club because they are losers. I mean, no one really likes them. They're constantly bullied. But the thing is, they're a very likable group of kids. And that was something I was really skeptical about when the movie was first announced. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope they get really good kid actors for this movie. Because it's kind of awkward when you go into a movie that has kids in it and they're not that great. And you're like, do I hate on the kid or do I just accept what it is? And luckily, the kids in this movie are absolutely phenomenal. They are just across the board. They are great. They are hilarious. They are likable. And there's at least one kid in the group that everybody could relate to, which I absolutely thought was great. Sadly, I relate to Ben, but I did like how each kid has their own personality and they have their own fear. And one of the kids in the group is going to look very familiar to you if you've watched Stranger Things, because the kid from Stranger Things, I forgot his name in that show. Gosh, I just finished it last week, but he actually plays the character Richie in this one, and he is freaking hilarious. That's where most of the laughs come from, because he's like that funny comedian kid who has to always say the inappropriate jokes and stuff like that. So it's really funny and I liked his character. But one problem I had with the movie was there are some characters that kind of get sidelined. They don't really focus on them a lot. It wasn't enough to where it bothered me or took me out of the movie because every other kid is just great. So I'm super glad that the actors just gave it their all and their performances were outstanding. But with this being a horror movie, a lot of people were wondering, well, is it scary or is it just a bunch of jump scares and stuff like that? It's pretty damn scary. When I was a kid, I watched the original miniseries, and that movie just haunted me. Like, I thought it was really scary at the time. Like, there were some scenes that really got to me. But I watched it a couple weeks ago, and I was doing more laughing than being afraid because it hasn't really aged well. But luckily, in this movie, there are some really great effects and just really great moments that really just get deep under your skin. And it helps that Pennywise is just a really effective villain and that he's fucking terrifying. And there are some scenes that really, really get to you. And there are some things in the book where I was wondering, well, are they going to put that in the movie or what are they going to do with that? And surprisingly, this movie is brutal. There are some scenes in this movie where I'm like, how did they get away with that? Because you got to remember, this movie's about a group of kids. So when you see a kid dying, it's pretty traumatizing. But luckily, they don't go overboard with it. I mean, it does earn its R rating, and it is a hard R-rated movie. So it's definitely not a movie for kids, but I don't see how they could have done some of the scenes in the movie and it be so effective if it was a PG-13 rating. So I'm glad that it worked out, and they don't, like I said, they don't go overboard or anything like that, but there are some pretty brutal and just terrifying scenes in this movie, and it works. Like, it's not just like a scary movie. Like, there are some scenes that I thought were pretty scary, but there are also some jump scares and stuff like that. But it was more of an intense movie. Like, I was literally grabbing onto my seat the entire time. And there's a scene in this movie, like, kind of like it towards the middle, that I loved every freaking second of it because it was just so effective. Like, I was just like grabbing onto my seat. And my heart was pounding. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. Like, it's seriously like I said, there's not a dull moment in this movie, and it gives you little time to breathe throughout. But it's a great freaking movie. Like, I absolutely loved it. Like I said, I had a big smile on my face throughout the whole thing. And it's going to be hard for me to watch the miniseries now and just not think about how great this movie is. Because with their scenes in the book and there's scenes in the miniseries, like the whole, like it's in the trailer, the sink scene where the blood comes up, and it's just done so much better in this new one in really imaginative and creative ways, and that's what makes it more terrifying. So with that being said, it is an outstanding movie. It is great. I absolutely loved every second of this movie, and I can't wait for the second one, which is going to focus on the adult side, and from what I've read, it's actually going to talk about more about Pennywise and focus more on him, so that's also exciting because Pennywise was my favorite part of this new movie. So it gets a 9.5 out of 10. It's great. It's definitely one of the better horror movies I've seen in a long time. Definitely go check it out if you're a horror fan. I mean, it's just not just a great horror movie. It's just a great movie, period. And it's something that I'll probably end up going to watch again. Probably today, maybe tomorrow. I'm not really sure yet, but I definitely want to go check it out again. So there's my review for it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys haven't subscribed to my channel yet, then please do. It means the world to me. And if you guys have any comments or suggestions, then leave a comment down below. And like always, have a wonderful night, guys.